everyone, this is Stephanie with the Stolen Colon, and I wanted to take a little time today to discuss some ideas for how to dress when you are pregnant and living with an ostomy. And this is actually a video that I've wanted to do for a while now. I wanted to do it with my first pregnancy, and just because of some of the circumstances of that one, I never got the opportunity to do it. So I've really been looking forward to getting to do it this time around. And I did a video previously just on dressing with an ostomy. But I really wanted to do one that focused on when you are pregnant, because at this point things are changing and there's so much more focus on the stomach area. And so especially for somebody like me who has an ostomy that is pretty much in line with my belly button, this kind of presents a whole different dynamic and takes a little more thought when getting dressed. So let me kind of just lay this out there first and say that I will admit it is a lot more difficult to hide the ostomy when you're pregnant, especially with a lot of the clothing choices that are available today for pregnancy. It can make it a bit more complicated. And a lot of it you just sort of have to come to terms with that's going to be the case. And I've had a number of people who like to come up to me and they think, oh, look, you can see the baby sticking out. And I'm just kind of like, no, that's not what's going on. Or depending on the person or the situation, I may tell them, nope, that's my ostomy bag. It's not the baby sticking out. So you kind of have to get used to the idea that you might get some comments like that and just might have to deal with other people being able to see it. But that doesn't mean that there's not some really good options out there for clothing. And both ones that kind of highlight the stomach and some others that might kind of mask it a little bit. So for both of my pregnancies, I have been due in the middle of July, so right in the center of the summer. And so obviously a lot of the choices that I have are much more focused on a summer wardrobe. But especially early on in my pregnancy, when it was a little bit colder, one of my favorite things to wear was leggings. And so especially kind of like when my bump was just starting to grow, these were such a good option. They were comfortable. I could use them to cover up the bump, and I just felt like it was kind of a really relaxing way, especially when you're kind of, starting to get uncomfortable in those earlier months. So I could actually show you here. This is a pair that comes up pretty high. I have it actually pulled up over my bump and over my ostomy bag. So it's really great because it does hold it in place, keeps it nice and secure, because especially at this point, with the way that my belly is, the bag is completely kind of like hanging off, which just can make it really uncomfortable to wear it around without something kind of holding it down. So leggings are a great option for that. Like I said, especially early on in the pregnancy, I can still pull it up over my bump some. But another option would be wearing them below the bump, and you could get a pregnancy band, which I'll pull out later and show you guys, a pregnancy band to go up above it as well, to help hold everything in place if your leggings don't go up quite as high as mine. And as you can see, I've paired it with a form-fitting shirt. I personally am more of a fan of the form-fitting clothing. I just find them to be more comfortable. I don't like feeling like I'm kind of wearing a big tent and just making me look a lot bigger than normal. But at the same time, you do deal then with the ostomy bag showing more. But another good thing is a lot of the shirts have this ruching in them, which you can use to kind of help disguise it some. So this is an actual maternity shirt that I bought from a maternity store. And so that's a really nice feature of a lot of these shirts, is being able to have that ruching in order to kind of camouflage things. I also like to pair things with a belt. I feel for one, especially with a solid colored shirt like this, it kind of helps break it up, but it also sort of pulls the attention a little bit higher and away from, the stomach and where the ostomy is. Now this is sort of my go-to outfit on a daily basis, is just a pair of maternity jeans, a tank top, and maybe some kind of light sweater or kimono since it's during the summer. Obviously could pair this with a heavier sweater during the winter months. But here's one of the wonderful things about maternity pants is the really high-waisted panel that you can get. They do have options that have a lower panel that goes below the belly. Some people may like those, but especially with the ostomy, having this full panel to keep it in place is really helpful. And, depending on the size of the panel and everything, these are the kind of things that you could wear afterwards as well, even when you're not pregnant, and still be able to have it to pull up in place and keep the ostomy bag secure even when you're not dealing with the pregnancy. So they can be used even after pregnancy for those of us with an ostomy. But so I have these in jeans. I also have shorts since it's warmer, but they're just super comfortable. There's nothing, also the waist, there's no actual, waistband, so it's not pulling against the bag. It's not constricting it really much. It's just really kind of keeping it smooth. And so this tank top is actually not even a maternity tank top. It's one that I just found that was a little bit longer, and so was able to cover the full bump. This pattern is nice because that also can help to camouflage the bag so you don't notice it as much. I also have this in solid, so it's not something that I only do in patterns. And then finally having the sweater, or like I said, a kimono or something like that, is also good because you kind of use that to cover your stomach if you want. If you're feeling self-conscious about others being able to see your ostomy bag through your shirt, it's kind of a nice way to sort of help cover that up. And of course, if you get too warm, you can always just go without the sweater and just go with a basic tank top. And same thing, so you really can't even see the bag too well under there unless you're actually looking for it. And now dresses, especially with it being summer, I love getting to wear dresses. It gets really hot outside and it's nice to just have something a little more flowy with a little more circulation. So this is one of my favorite style of dresses to wear. With the way that it hangs. My ostomy bag is right here, as you might be able to see, but because of the way that the dress hangs, you really can't see it through it all. So this is one of my favorite things to wear. I feel like putting the belt with it makes it a little bit more of a flattering fit. But for the most part, you can get away with a dress like this without anybody even noticing the bag. And now this is what I'm wearing underneath. This is a belly band that I got just at a basic store, and it goes around the waist. It is meant for maternity. Actually, the point of it is for when your jeans start getting a little bit too small, you can wear this over them in order to hold them up. But these are something that I use all the time. I've had these ever since I had my surgery 5 years ago, and I wear them anytime that I wear a dress or a skirt, or even under some shirts, just to help keep the bag smooth. But it's nice because it holds it in place, because as I showed you before, with the bag sort of hanging off, it can get really uncomfortable. Especially once it starts filling up. So these are a great option for keeping things in place, keeping it smooth underneath, and really just keeping it comfortable. It can get a little bit warm wearing one of these during the summer, but all in all, to me, it is totally worth it to be able to have that security underneath the dress. I also say that if you really just want to go for it with a completely form-fitting maternity dress, I think that you totally can still get away with it, even with having an ostomy. You may be able to see some of my bag underneath this. Again, I have that belly band holding things in place and kind of keeping it tight against my belly. But this dress also offers that ruching to help to hide things a little bit. And I also think that adding in some accessories, like I mentioned before, a belt or a chunky necklace or even like a sweater or kimono, something that sort of draws the eye away from the stomach, can also be really helpful in trying to camouflage things and still allow you to wear the clothes that make you comfortable, and when you just want to be able to show off your belly bump, but not necessarily show off your ostomy bag. In the end, I think that you can and should be able to wear whatever you want when you're pregnant with an ostomy. I think it's really just about what makes you feel comfortable. But I do not think that you should feel limited by the clothing options that are out there. I hope that you are able to find something that you feel good in, makes you feel beautiful, and if you want to show off that bump, show off that bump. But just be prepared that there might be some times that somebody may notice or point out your ostomy bag, usually very innocently, thinking that it's the baby or something along those lines. And just having a sense of humor, try to let it roll off your back. Let them know that that's not it, or you can even mention it's your ostomy bag if you feel comfortable with that. Or just change the subject and move on. I think for the most part, people are very understanding, and they're trying to relate to you in a way and not realizing that they might be making you uncomfortable. I hope you'll check out some of my other videos on here, as well as my blog, The Stolen Colon. You can find it at stolencolon.com. I have a number of articles on there, both from this pregnancy and from my previous pregnancy, just about my experiences of going through this with an ostomy. And I hope that you have found this video helpful and that you'll find those resources helpful as well, for those of you who either are currently pregnant or considering becoming pregnant with an ostomy.